did things that I'm not helped. Save me.
She was once America's golden-haired angel, the radiant smile in every frame of the Brady Bunch. But was Maureen McCormick truly happy in the spotlight? Not at all. Behind the pink lipstick and doll dresses was a young girl forced to be sweet, pretty, and smiling, even while dying inside. Addicted to cocaine. Trading her body for drugs. She once showed up to an audition with cracked lips and vacant eyes, only to be kicked out like a broken doll. A doctor once told her, "You should prepare yourself, the syphilis has reached your heart." So why did she survive? And why, at age 68, has she decided to name the 5 people who turned her youth into a nightmare? One forced her into a bathroom to taste power. Another called her lipstick trash. One nearly had her fired for refusing to play the perfect doll. Who do you think they were? A co-star? A director? Or the man America once idolized? Leave a comment now, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss even darker truths yet to come.
Danced on some shows, and I, even back then, was always looking over my shoulder.
Hollywood once called her the sweetest dessert on television, a blonde angel who could melt the camera with a single smile. But no one asked, was she okay? Did she want to be an angel? Or was she just trapped inside a glass cage called Marcia Brady? Born in 1956 in Encino, California, Maureen McCormick entered the spotlight as a child. She didn't grow up, she was molded. No gaining weight. No rebellion. No loving anyone off-screen. She wasn't an actress, she was a product. Behind the curtains were short-term contracts, broken promises, and large hands resting on her thigh whenever her skirt was an inch too short. And during the peak years of the Brady Bunch, while fans cheered and magazines printed her face on every cover, a black hole grew inside Maureen. She felt dirty, wrong, empty, but still had to smile. I wasn't allowed to feel. They didn't need me sad. They needed me pretty. The more famous she got, the lonelier she became. A sweet whisper at a party was all it took for her to fall into a spiral of cocaine, quaaludes, eating disorders, and nights taking off her dress in dark rooms, not out of passion, but survival. She lost roles. Lost contracts. Lost her name. She once woke up in a filthy apartment with $600 in her wallet, blood on the sheets, and a note, "Call me when you wake up." That wasn't Hollywood. That was hell lit by stage lights. But from that wreckage, she survived. And now, at 68, Maureen isn't afraid anymore. She's ready to look into the camera and name every person who broke her, clearly, unapologetically. He wasn't a standout star. Audiences didn't chant his name on red carpets. But in the behind-the-scenes world of 1970s American television, the name Joseph Pevney was a make-or-break gatekeeper for dozens of young actors. He directed numerous hit series, and the power to decide who appeared on screen, and who didn't, was always his. To Maureen McCormick, he was the first name that shattered her childhood like glass crashing onto cold tile. She was 15. Still, Marcia Brady, curly hair, pleated skirts, eyes bright like spring sunshine. That audition was held in a small, empty studio. She was invited to read lines privately with the director. No assistant. No agent. No mother by her side as usual. And in the backstage bathroom, the door clicked shut by his hand. "Have you seen my films?" he asked, his voice soft as air but sharp like venom. Every actress starts, here. He didn't yell. Didn't threaten. He just lit a cigarette and used its tip to trace down her chest through her thin blouse. "If you want to be chosen, show me you're bright enough for the screen." She was too scared to cry. Just stood still, gripping the sink, heart pounding like it wanted to escape her chest. 10 minutes felt like a lifetime. And when the door opened, she was no longer the carefree girl from the day before. That man was never investigated. No apology. No headline. But from that moment on, she knew, being a woman in this world would never be enough. You had to be obedient, silent, and endure. I learned that fame doesn't protect you from filth, it only makes you easier to hunt. That was the first name she would never forget, even if the world never knew him. And there were 4 more, each a scar deep enough to make the blonde angel once think of ending it all. But the second man? Even more terrifying. He didn't just strangle her reputation, he nearly brought down the entire Brady Bunch legacy. Who was he? The man who broke Marcia Brady, he was handsome. Famous. A teen idol of the 70s, and the one America paired with Marcia Brady as the perfect couple from a fairy tale. Christopher Knight, who played Peter, Maureen's on-screen brother in the Brady Bunch. On screen, they were siblings. But behind the scenes, they once belonged to each other, a secret buried beneath studio lights and cheerful theme songs. It started with glances backstage. Brief touches. Whispered words between scenes. But Maureen didn't know that a sweet behind-the-scenes romance could turn into a nightmare when love flows only one way. Christopher was never sincere. For him, it was a power game, a rising male lead playing with the girl adored by a nation. He flirted, led her on, then left her. Just as Hollywood's biggest paper leaked, Marcia and Peter are dating in real life. The truth was twisted. She was blamed for killing the Brady image. They called her the easy girl in the short skirt who tainted a family show. He didn't have to choke me. Just leaving me to face the media alone was enough to strangle the reputation I spent my childhood building. Over 40 years later, Christopher Knight still smiles gently at Brady Bunch reunions. And Maureen? She once had to take antidepressants just to stand on stage beside him, as if no knife had ever been in her back. But the real pain came from the third man, a powerful figure in the entertainment industry who once forced Maureen McCormick to choose between her career and her dignity. What did she do? And why did that choice nearly drive her to suicide? If you believe the truth deserves to be heard, and that women like Maureen deserve to be protected, hit subscribe. The stories ahead are even darker and more painful. Sherwood Schwartz. The creator of the Brady Bunch, a beloved symbol of family happiness for millions of Americans. But to Maureen McCormick, he wasn't a genius, he was the man holding the golden scissors, cutting away pieces of her freedom before she even turned 17. Maureen once dreamed of singing, acting in films, living like a real teenager. But Sherwood sealed every exit with a strict 6-year contract. "You are Brady Bunch property," he told her as he pushed her to sign. She couldn't cut her hair, take other roles, or date publicly. Every move needed his approval. Once, she cried in the dressing room, wanting to refuse a forced kiss scene. Schwartz walked in, looked at her through the mirror, and said like a horror film director, "You have two options. Kiss him, or kiss your career goodbye." She kissed. And cried. And learned to smile every time the camera lit up. But inside, her heart was rotting day by day. "I used to think he launched my career. But then I realized, he just built a golden cage. And locked me in with my own silence." Later, Sherwood Schwartz was honored as a television legend. And Maureen? She battled drugs, depression, and suicidal thoughts, all because she once wanted to be herself. But the fourth man was the deadliest blow. A powerful figure in the music industry, the man who made Maureen lose her debut album just because she refused to sleep with him. Who was he? And how long did that pain keep her away from showbiz? Stay tuned for the next part. And if you believe the truth shouldn't be silenced just because someone is too powerful to be questioned, hit subscribe. Because Hollywood needs more light than it does fame. He didn't need to shout. Didn't need force. Just a nod, and millions poured into ads, films, and talk shows calling Maureen McCormick's name. He was the one who took her to the top, and the one who crushed her dignity with a deliberately leaked rumor. His name was Stanley Bright, one of the most powerful managers in 1970s Hollywood, known for taking young actresses to the top, then controlling them with inescapable exclusive contracts. Maureen once trusted him like a father, the guide after the Brady Bunch success. But behind every compliment was a request for more visibility, behind every meeting, a full glass of liquor, and after each refusal to get closer, came the unspoken warning, people want a good Marcia. If you're not good anymore, don't expect a second season. She once thought he was protecting her image. Until the night she was invited to his Beverly Hills hotel suite to discuss branding. Dim lights. Contract neatly placed. He sat across from her, scotch in hand, smiling, fingers laced like he was naming his price. "You don't need to read it. Just sign. Everything you've dreamed of is in there." Maureen looked at the contract, saw her name in bold. But all she could hear was her heart pounding like war drums. She stood up, said nothing, and walked out, carrying with her the steepest price of self-respect, nearly a decade of exile from Hollywood. The next morning, headlines swarmed with rumors of Maureen's drug addiction. She was blacklisted from every show. In the public eye, the blonde angel had become a fallen star. He didn't have to do much, just plant a seed of doubt and let the media water it into hell. That was the blow that nearly drove Maureen to suicide at 24. All because of one signature she didn't write, and one name Hollywood never dared to say out loud. But the final pain didn't come from auditions or headlines. It came from the man who once kissed her hand at the altar, the one she thought was her last safe place, but who turned away when she needed him most. And that fifth man is the reason Maureen McCormick stayed silent for decades. Don't miss the final chapter if you want to know what truly almost made Maureen vanish from this world. Hit subscribe, because the truth will never be heard if we stay silent. He wasn't a director, a co-star, or a producer. He was the only man who made Maureen McCormick believe that after all the betrayals, there could still be someone decent enough to love her for who she truly was, not for Marcia Brady on screen. Michael Cummings, a calm, intelligent actor, entered her life in 1984 when Maureen was at rock bottom, depressed, addicted, surrounded by rumors. He held her hand and said, "You don't have to act anymore. You just have to live." That sentence saved her soul, and they married just 6 months later. Maureen believed she had finally found a home. But sometimes, homes don't collapse from storms outside, they break from the cracks no one repairs. Michael couldn't handle a wife haunted by old wounds. Every time she panicked, trembled from memories of abuse, every time she cried in the night from voices in her head, he chose silence. Then he left. Then came back. Then left again. As if her trauma was a burden he hadn't signed up for. He didn't hit me. He didn't yell at me. He just wasn't there when I needed him most. And sometimes, absence hurts more than a slap. Maureen once begged him to stay, even apologized, for her own past. But on her 40th birthday, hoping for a hug like the early days, what she found was a separation notice on the breakfast table. He once kissed her hand at the altar, but didn't have the courage to hold it through the hardest part of her life. And that was the fifth man, the one who crushed the last hope in the heart of a woman trampled by Hollywood, yet still tried to sing a song of joy. Today, Maureen McCormick isn't naming these men to reclaim the spotlight. She speaks to reclaim her voice. To protect the new Marcia Brady's, young girls about to enter a glittering world filled with hidden traps. I stayed silent because I was afraid of being hated. But I'm not afraid anymore. If my truth makes you uncomfortable, then think of the girls who never got to tell theirs. If you ever loved Marcia Brady, or if you've ever been a girl hurt and not believed, please share this video. And don't forget to subscribe, because here, no one has to stay silent alone. Hollywood, where stars shine endlessly, but behind the bright lights are dark secrets that the public never knows. Katharine Hepburn, a symbol of power and independence in the film industry, was a strong woman who never gave up. However, behind that proud appearance, she once faced dangerous love affairs and never before revealed secrets enough to shake the world. The three actresses Hepburn secretly dated and hated will make you unable to believe your eyes. These relationships are not only the dark side of Hollywood history but also the underground wars, the tense confrontations in which Hepburn was the main character. Do you dare to continue to explore these hidden truths? If you are attracted to the shocking revelations, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel now. We'll take you on a journey to discover untold secrets of Hollywood and stories that will blow your mind. Katharine Hepburn, born May 12, 1907, is a Hollywood legend, known for her outstanding talent and strong personality. She is not only an icon of American cinema but also a role model for independent, assertive women in the early decades of the 20th century. With 4 Oscars, Hepburn has affirmed her irreplaceable position in the history of cinema. However, behind her glamorous appearance and brilliant career, her personal life hides shocking secrets that the media has never known. Katharine Hepburn is not only famous for her strong roles, but also for her stormy and scandalous love relationships. Her secret love affairs with famous actresses such as Greta Garbo, Marlene Dietrich, and many other names made her a contradictory and complicated woman. These relationships were not just about love, but also about hatred, betrayal, and power struggles that could not be exposed to the light. However, what made Katharine Hepburn so mysterious was her fierce hatred and confrontation with those she loved. These secrets gradually faded into the past, but the truth about her is still a story that has never been told. Were her secret feelings the driving force behind that hatred? To find out more, follow the shocking and dramatic revelations that follow. Want to know which actresses Hepburn hated the most? Don't miss the shocking secrets that will be revealed in the next part. Though not an actress, Spencer Tracy is the only man on the list of names that Katharine Hepburn once hated and deeply hurt. Their secret affair lasted for more than 2 decades, becoming one of the most shocking secrets of Hollywood's heyday. Tracy, a married man with children, and Hepburn, the most rebellious female star on the silver screen, were caught up in a perverse relationship that neither could make public because of their fame and status. But behind the sweet exterior and the times they spent together on screen, there were countless times Tracy betrayed him, causing Hepburn to be hurt to the point that she could never truly forgive. The most bitter thing for Hepburn was the conflict between love and pride. She loved him blindly, but also hated him for the times he was pushed aside, for the unfulfilled promises and the lonely nights she spent behind the scenes, waiting for someone who never dared to step into the light with her. And it was Spencer Tracy, the only man, who left the deepest wound in Hepburn's proud heart. But that was just the beginning. Because besides Tracy, there were a series of actresses who had crossed her path in life, people who made Hepburn secretly hate for many years. Who dared to confront her? Who made her swallow her anger and keep her resentment in the dark? Keep reading to discover the most surprising names that Hepburn herself never wanted to mention. Greta Garbo, the name is like an immortal symbol of the film capital, with her icy beauty and melancholy eyes, once made Hollywood admire and fear. However, for Katharine Hepburn, Garbo was a deep scar that never healed in her heart. Few people expected that, behind the bright lights and the applause of the audience was a love story that turned into bitter hatred between two monuments of the silver screen. If Spencer Tracy was the only man who made Hepburn suffer, Garbo was the woman who made her angry all her life. The meeting between them was once considered the fate of two lonely souls in the world of luxury. Whispers about that unconventional relationship crept throughout the backstage of the studio, the lavish parties and the dressing room. People said that Garbo was once infatuated with Hepburn, a bold, fierce girl who was not afraid to break all the rules of conservative Hollywood. But when the relationship became deep, Garbo turned her back cruelly. Not only did she coldly cut off all contact, she also calmly gossiped and said malicious things about Hepburn to those around her, causing Hepburn to be hurt beyond repair. For a proud and strong woman like Hepburn, that betrayal was like a fatal stab. She not only lost the person she once considered her soulmate, but was also tormented by the feeling of being humiliated and deceived. From then on, whenever she heard the name Greta Garbo, Hepburn held in her heart contempt and resentment. She once told a close friend, "There are women I can forgive, but never Garbo." That story was kept as Hollywood's darkest secret for decades, until a few insiders quietly revealed it before they passed away. And when the truth was revealed, the public was shocked to realize that behind the halo of fame was a secret love affair, a cold betrayal, and a simmering hatred that lasted a lifetime between the two silver screen goddesses. But the most shocking thing, the list of people Hepburn hated did not stop at Garbo. The rest of the names will surprise you. If Greta Garbo was the painful scar in Katharine Hepburn's heart, then Marlene Dietrich was the fire that burned away all the remaining faith and weakness in the heart of this legendary actress. Marlene Dietrich, Hollywood's most sexy icon with her captivating eyes and carefree demeanor, entered Hepburn's life like a storm, sweeping away all the boundaries between love, passion, and hatred. The two had days filled with pleasure and romance, a secret couple that the backstage world at that time only dared to whisper about behind closed doors. But like any fire that was too hot, their love affair quickly flared up, then died out in black smoke and ashes. What Hepburn never forgave was the cold betrayal from the woman she once considered a friend, an ally in a prejudiced and hypocritical Hollywood. Marlene Dietrich, with her unruly nature and habit of playing with other people's emotions, not only deceived Hepburn but also openly mocked her in front of the gossipiest people in the movie industry. Dietrich knew how to manipulate people, and Hepburn, an arrogant but vulnerable soul, became the perfect victim of her power play. What really happened? Many say that Dietrich had been secretly having an affair with Hepburn's former lover behind her back, even deliberately displaying the relationship as a cruel pastime. Others claim that Dietrich was the one who leaked Hepburn's sensitive personal secrets to the press and colleagues in order to undermine her at the most vulnerable moments of her career. Whatever the truth, the result was a deep and uncompromising feud between the two screen goddesses. Hepburn once told close associates, "Dietrich is the only person I wish I had never met." That sentence was enough to show the level of cruelty and resentment she had for the woman who had broken her heart. Katharine Hepburn, the name that once made Hollywood bow in admiration, is not only remembered for her immortal roles or her haughty beauty that defies time. Behind the stage lights, behind the classic films and praise, is a world full of secrets, ill-fated love affairs and lifelong hatreds that the public has never known. Hepburn was not the type of woman who was weak and forgiving. She was a woman who lived by instinct, loved fiercely, hated mercilessly, and was ready to eliminate anyone who betrayed or hurt her. In a world where everyone wore masks, Hepburn was the one who refused to bow to hypocrisy. She went through passionate love affairs but also filled with tears and betrayal. And when love fell apart, Hepburn did not cry or beg, she remembered every wound, every betrayal, turning it all into a burning anger that burned throughout her life. The actresses who entered her life, seemingly confidants, turned out to be her sworn enemies. From Greta Garbo to Marlene Dietrich and many others, all left painful scars in the soul of a legendary woman. The Hollywood that Hepburn lived in was not only about sparkling lights and thunderous applause. It was also a place where dark secrets were buried deep under the dust of fame, where secret love affairs took place behind the scenes, where betrayal and jealousy crept into every look and every word. And Katharine Hepburn, with her sharp personality and unyielding pride, left her mark not only with her illustrious career but also with behind-the-scenes stories that made people shudder when the truth was revealed. Now, when those secrets are revealed, the image of the Katharine Hepburn you once knew will be completely different. Do you have the courage to face the dark side of a cinematic icon? Stay tuned, because the next stories are even more shocking.